All right, let's talk about a project so big it's almost hard to wrap your head around it. This is the story of a $62 billion gamble, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It's one of the most ambitious undertakings on the planet right now, and it promises to literally reshape a continent. So today we're going to break down what it is, what it's actually managed to do, and maybe most importantly, what it's costing.
So let's just start with that big number, the one that gets all the headlines. $62 billion. That's the estimated price tag for what China is pouring into this thing. And to be clear, this isn't just some side project for them. CPEC is the absolute cornerstone, the crown jewel of their massive global Belt and Road initiative.
And that huge investment, that staggering number, it really brings us to the core question we're going to be exploring today. On the one hand, CPEC promises to be this incredible engine for growth, a path to real prosperity for Pakistan. But on the other, could it be a road to ruin? A trap laden with debt and all sorts of unintended consequences? Let's unpack it.
Okay, so before we can get into the good, the bad, and the, well, complicated, we first need to get on the same page. What is CPEC, really? What does the blueprint for this whole new era of cooperation actually look like?
At its very heart, CPEC is this massive 3,000-kilometer network. The best way to think about it is like the new economic arteries and veins for the region. It's a whole system connecting Gwadar port way down on the Arabian Sea in Pakistan all the way up to China's western Xinjiang region. And it's not just one road, not by a long shot. It's a whole web of infrastructure. And like we said, it's the flagship project for China's global ambitions.
You know, what's really interesting is that this idea isn't new. People were talking about a link like this way back in the 1960s, but it kind of simmered for a while. The real momentum started building in the 2000s when both countries really started to see the massive potential of Gwadar Port. Then, boom, April 2015 hits, 51 different agreements are signed, and the whole thing officially kicks into high gear.
So, with that blueprint in place, we can finally get to the why. What was the grand vision? What kind of transformation was CPEC supposed to bring to Pakistan and to China?
Well, on paper, the goals were incredibly ambitious for both sides. For Pakistan, this was meant to be a shot in the arm for the economy, a way to finally solve its crippling energy crisis, literally keep the lights on, and to position itself as a major hub for regional trade. And for China, it was about cementing a crucial strategic friendship and, probably most important of all, creating new, more secure trade routes to the rest of the world.
And you can see some of the promised results right here. I mean, just look at this chart. Pakistan's agricultural exports just exploded. A more than 800% increase. That is not a small number. It's a perfect example of what happens when you build better roads and improve connectivity. Suddenly, it becomes a whole lot easier and cheaper to get your products out to the world.
Okay, so having a grand vision is one thing, but how do you actually turn that vision into reality? Well, you do it with a whole lot of concrete, steel, and even fiber optics. Let's look at the actual building blocks of this massive project.
And this table just lays it all out so clearly. You realize very quickly that CPEC is not just about a road. It's more like 4 massive projects all rolled into one. First, you've got transport, the port, the highways, the railways. Then you have energy, new power plants to solve that crisis we talked about. Then you've got these special economic zones, or SEZs, which are designed to kickstart industry. And yeah, even a digital corridor, a huge fiber optic cable linking the two countries.
Of all those areas, the change in energy has been, without a doubt, the most traumatic. Seriously, before CPEC, Pakistan was quite literally in the dark. The country had a massive power deficit, which meant daily blackouts, sometimes for up to 16 hours. It was a genuine crisis. Then, these CPEC projects come online, and just like that, the country goes from a huge deficit to having a surplus of power. It was an absolute game changer.
But, and this is a huge but, all of this incredible progress did not come for free. Every single megawatt of electricity, every kilometer of new road, it all came with a cost. Some of those costs are obvious, but a lot of them are hidden.
So this is where the whole story really takes a turn. We've seen the promise, we've seen the concrete results, but now we have to ask that really tough question. What is the true price of all this development?
Well, a big part of that price is right here in this one. Absolutely staggering number. Nearly 2.4 trillion rupees. That's the projected circular debt in Pakistan's power sector. Now, it's a bit complicated, but think of it like a financial doom loop. The government can't pay the power plants, so the power plants can't pay for their fuel, and the whole system just gets choked with debt. And a huge chunk of that is tied directly to these new CPEC power plants.
And the costs aren't just financial.
Not even close. There's a very real human and environmental toll. We're talking about around 35,000 people potentially being displaced for just one dam project, over 54,000 trees cut down for roads, a huge surge in carbon emissions. And on top of all that, you have growing resistance from local communities, especially in places like Balochistan, who are saying, hey, we're the ones losing our land and our livelihoods, but we're not seeing any of the benefits.
And this chart really brings it all together. You can see the financial strain. That massive debt is the biggest piece of the puzzle here, at nearly half. But the environmental impact and the social and political issues are right on its heels. It just goes to show you that this isn't one single problem. It's a whole web of really complex challenges that are all tangled up together.
Okay, so we've looked at the impact inside Pakistan, but to really truly understand CPEC, you have to zoom out, way out. Because this isn't just a regional project. It's a major move on the global geopolitical chessboard.
And to understand China's motivation, you have to understand this one key idea, the Malacca dilemma. For decades, Chinese leaders have had this one nagging fear. You see, most of their oil and trade has to squeeze through this one tiny, narrow waterway called the Malacca Strait. If anything were to ever happen there, a conflict, a blockade, it could bring China's economy to its knees. CPEC is their answer to that dilemma. And when you lay it out like this, the strategic genius of the plan becomes crystal clear. Look at this. The traditional sea route is 12,000 kilometers long. The CPEC land route, just 3,000. It turns a journey of weeks into a matter of days. But the real prize, the most important part, it completely bypasses that vulnerable choke point. It's a direct, secure overland alternative. It's China's economic insurance policy.
And the geopolitical ripple effects of this are immense. All of a sudden, China has a strategic foothold in the Arabian Sea. Landlocked countries in Central Asia have a potential new path to the ocean. Of course, this makes India incredibly nervous because the corridor passes through territory that it disputes. And, at the end of the day, it solidifies the China-Pakistan alliance for decades to come.
So after weighing this grand vision against all these hidden costs, where does this colossal project go from here? What does the path forward actually look like?
And that brings us right back to the central question we started with. Is CPEC a transformative engine, or is it a debt-laden burden? The honest truth is, its legacy is still being written. The final outcome won't be decided by the billions already spent, but by the really tough financial, social, and political choices that Pakistan and China are going to have to make together in the years ahead.
Look, what we've done today is really just scratching the surface of a huge and incredibly complex topic. We're definitely going to be making more explainers to dive deeper into all of this stuff, looking at the future of Gwadar Port, really getting into the weeds of the financial debates, seeing what's actually happening with those special economic zones. But we want to hear from you. What part of the CPEC story do you want us to break down next? Let us know in the comments. We'll see you in the next one.